My name's Dan Veitkus, and this is The Common Good Show, where we discuss the gift of life and explore everyday blessings through the lens of faith-based stories and real-life experiences. The Common Good Show is brought to you by Guadalupe Roastery in partnership with Maria Vision. Through these conversations, we discover the lessons and truths that have guided our guests to where they are today, what they have learned over the course of their journey, and how those principles can be applied to our own lives in order to elevate people, either as an individual or as groups, to the fulfillment in its entirety. With me this morning, I have Mike Dulcio, known in the local community as Coach Mike, owner of the Mindful Mandate Counseling and Consulting Services. Coach Mike is an executive coach and consultant, a husband and a father of 2 boys, and teaches a holistic approach to emotional health and wellness. All this built on a faith-based foundation. Coach Mike is an advocate for wellness within the family structure, working with adults and children of all ages, and not just in the counseling and consulting segment, but sports as well, being the Little League baseball and softball coach in Ave Maria, Florida. Mike, thank you so much, man, for being with me, for spending your time. I'm glad to have it, and I know you made room for us in your schedule, so I'm honored.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man, absolutely. We'll knock it right off.
Solid.
What is one little thing in your daily life that's proof to you of God's blessing and faithfulness?
One little thing in my daily life.
Yeah.
I'll start with, it's my little ones.
Amen.
Little ones.
Amen.
I have an 8 and a 4-year-old, Taj and Jax Michael. And every time I look at them, I'm reminded of, one, the love of the Father that He has for me. And I know how I feel about my son. Just to see them as an extension of me and my family. Yeah. That's living proof that God is good and that He loves us. Because I know the love that I have in my son is probably just a fraction of the love that He has for us.
Amen.
Yeah. So.
Is there one of them that's more like Dad than the other?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. My firstborn, Taj Michael.
Okay.
He's definitely more like Dad. He's a social butterfly.
Yeah.
He's a clever little thing, man. Super active, super energetic. Jax has some traces of me too. Okay.
Little hints.
Little hints, but he's more like Mom, and Taj is definitely more like me.
More like Dad. All right. Does he play baseball?
He played.
Okay.
He played baseball. He was with AA last season.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. So looking to get him back in for spring season that's coming up.
There you go.
In the Ave Maria. Yeah.
Baseball's kind of like, it's weird because when I was growing up, it was very much like all the sports were very much seasonal, but like it's like year round now.
Oh, right now it's year round, bro.
That's insane.
It doesn't stop. Yeah, it's going. And it's fun. We enjoy it, and the life skills that we get out of it, right?
Yeah.
He plays baseball. He's doing a little bit of football too. So, watching him grow and develop, especially on the field, and the lessons that we're picking up and learning from it, dude, we love it.
Yeah.
We love it.
Because of the nature of the work you do, and this is something like that I feel really strong. Like I'm blessed to be able to coach a high school soccer team.
All right.
And and the thing I love most about it isn't necessarily the sport, like the sports side of it. Of course, I love that aspect, right? But I strongly remember, like two of my biggest mentors, because they weren't really mentors, but
I understand.
But from early on in life were 2 of my coaches, which is Coach Watley and Coach Bagley, and it was different sports.
Okay.
But I know the impact that they had on me, and if I and it's with the discipline and the type of they were phenomenal. Your good old coaches,
Absolutely.
like no BS, just
Absolutely.
on it, and really about like a family unit and like
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so. The chance to, if I can have an impact on even one of those young men in like even a fraction of a way,
bro,
like
you could go the distance with that.
That's where it's at.
That's where it's at, especially when you talk about the old school approach, where we could discipline and provide structure in the kid's life as a mentor, as a coach, as a father. Sometimes. Well, even in my experience, because I played football, and growing up, and having that coach, I have my father, but also having that coach to guide structure in a field that I love, that I'm passionate about, and him just teaching me like the intangible wisdom,
Yeah.
right? In
Yes.
the game,
Yeah.
grit, overcoming adversity, developing passion, working at your best, working with excellence, having pride, and pride in the sense of pride in the team, pride in the character, pride in the way you're making your choices, and pride in the bigger picture, right? Not just myself, but being a part of a team and making sure that I'm pulling my weight to make sure the team is winning and the team is stronger, right?
Because there's a big pride. I think people hear pride and sometimes it can be a red
There's
flag.
a negative connotation,
but
right?
There's a difference between pridefulness and having pride.
Absolutely.
Pridefulness, not so good.
Yeah.
Because that's when you start. I think pridefulness is similar to being egotistical.
Yes.
And that's a negative.
Yes.
But on the other end of the spectrum, there's having pride in what you do.
Yes.
And the way I look at that is it reflects God's nature in us, but it
Yes.
also reflects the God-given abilities and like the talents that we have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was a camp that I ran and a group of younger boys that I mentored some time ago, and one of our core credences was pride, right? Pride, and it was broken up into professionalism, respect, integrity, determination, and excellence.
I like
And it was one of my core missions to help them understand that we don't get this individually from ourselves. We get it from the source. And who's the source? God the Father. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And this is what He asks of us or demands of us as He's moving us towards perfection in His Word, through His commandments. And not thinking that God is some mysterious figure in the sky, but being proud of being able to say, I have a relationship with Him, right?
Yeah.
And in that relationship, in the studying of the Word, in growing up, naturally certain things will begin to exude or grow or mature, right?
Yeah.
So it's big for me because I love what I do and I love having that influence.
I was like itching, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Yeah, exactly. And like you said, things will naturally come out and begin to exude from within you. And it's like, I think this is a completely different topic, but I'm going to weave it in.
Let's talk, yes.
In a society where being proud of being really good at something
yes
can often turn people the wrong way.
Yes.
Because people are like, oh, like, no, you need to chill out and this and that. And like, make sure everyone feels on the same level and whatnot, which is...
We got our opinions about that.
Yeah. That sense of, maybe not this is what I'm called to do, but that sense of, man, this is something from in here. This is some God-given something that like, it brings me to life. There's so much more to it than just a baseball game or a softball game or a soccer game.
Yes. It's connectivity, right?
Yeah.
It's being in a relationship. For me, if I'm understanding what you're saying, it's being in a relationship and responsible for someone outside of myself in that forum, right? It's encouraging each other, building each other, challenging each other, and being proud of that, right? Working together. You could give me your feedback on this, but I feel like the only treasure we really take with us is relationship, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. That's what I feel. I believe.
Amen.
God is so for relationships, and that just getting in a huddle.
Yes. Yeah.
Together, right? And having whether that leader or that captain or whatever the case is, you have the speech or whatever it is, and everybody just kind of coming together with a common belief, with a common goal, with a common purpose, and moving towards that purpose together. There's strength in numbers.
Oh yeah.
Right.
My captain's chant before the soccer games.
Yes.
And it's how we break it down to at the end. But before the games, it's to reiterate your point of being in communion with someone towards a greater purpose, focused on them. It's not focused on me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
our chant is is who do we play for? And then he says, who do we play for? And we all shout, our God. Who do we fight for? Our God. Who do we die for? Our God. And then it's family on three, family on three. 1, 2, 3, family. It's just like,
come on,
let's go, let's go. It doesn't matter because I mean, it's a smaller school. And so our division is, the divisions in that county are based off of the school size.
Yes, the population.
And it's not necessarily just that county, there's a bunch of different ones, but it's based off the size.
Yes.
But we also play the schools that are not in our district, the ones that are just like right by us. And so even against the schools where they're like 10 times the size of us, man, I kid you not, we are twice as hype getting out of that huddle and staring down the team that's like, everyone's 6 inches taller than our biggest guy. But we're like, this is, because it's not about the individual talents.
Yes.
It's who are we fighting for, who are we playing for, who are we dying for.
Right.
Because knowing when you're out there on the pitch, it isn't just, like if I played center back or left back in soccer, so it ain't about just the left back. It's like, I know if I give my 110%, and if I go to the very edge, and I fail and make mistakes, knowing that the guy behind me and the guy next to me, they're not going to be there and pointing me out for the mistakes. They're going to cover my butt right in there.
Man. He's going to pick you up. He's got you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think of, and it's not even switching directions, but I think it's all connected. I think of David. King David, right? Before he was a king, right? And how everybody was kind of cowering and hiding, but when he came, right, he says, I don't fight you with anything that I got, with sword, right? But I come in the name of the Lord, right? And I'm going to defeat you. And then everybody's watching and spectating, and he shows up, and he takes care of business with that sling and that rock, and he goes down. What do you think that did to the people around him?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Who were scared at first, but found their confidence in David, who found his confidence in the Lord, and then seeing him defeat, and then everybody else rising. It's like, like I said before, there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if it's you going out to the school and you see these giants in front of you, by yourself, you might be like,
hey, it's going to be tough.
I don't know. But if you got a camp around you, bro, with like-minded people who say, we know why we're here and we know who we're doing it for, bro, you just got 10 foot tall.
And I think and it's so important you can never underestimate the value of your own role. So it's about your teammates.
Yes.
But you can never underestimate the value of your own role because, and I try to remind my captain of this. I'm like, hey, listen, like because he's good, like he's on time, he's phenomenal, he's super talented, and he's great, he's super hardworking. But there's days when he's like, he's on time, and then there's days when he's already out there 10 minutes before everyone gets there. And I'm like, man, you don't know the impact that it has on those other players. And kind of like you said with David, it's, everyone was encouraged by David, but if David walked out there and like quietly was just like, hey God, like help me out, cause like I'm just gonna. But he shot. He was like, it's like I'm not fighting you with swords. Like I'm fighting, and I come in the name of like my God.
Yes.
And that's who's got this.
Yes.
And it was like that invocation that strengthened David, but that was the example for everyone else.
Exactly.
And so in any particular moment, and it doesn't matter if it's the captain or the freshman who just barely squeaked onto the team, but if the freshman goes in for a challenge against, and this happened yesterday, which is what making me think of it. But when the freshman goes in for a challenge against the 6'4", 200-pound senior on the other team and gets wrecked, I mean, he was fine, but he gets wrecked. It's more encouraging to the rest of the team because they're like,
he stood up and went.
Yeah.
You said it when you said the example, bro, and from the captain to the freshman getting on, this is where the individual parts, come up, and being true to ourselves for the team's purpose, like we're talking about.
Yeah.
But we're always modeling something. So to be that example, whether you're the captain getting up 30 minutes before practice and you're already on the field, or whether you're the freshman who's decided to join the team and to show up even if you get wrecked, you got on the field.
Yeah.
You got on the field because you knew why, right? And even if you got wrecked, you know it doesn't stop there because you got a crew of people behind you ready to lift you up and that's got your back, that's going to support you and not tear you down. That's so huge.
And you're more on fire after that because when you stand back up and you're like,
I got up.
I'm back, baby.
I got up.
Yeah.
It didn't stop here. Yeah, you knocked me down, but I got back up.
Yes, sir.
Knocked me down 9 times, get up 10, right?
Yes, sir. It never ends.
That resilience,
never
bro.
ends.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that too, man. It fires me up just thinking about it.
I'm curious because, I mean, single as a Pringle. I don't have any prospect and certainly don't have any kids. So, different situation.
Yes.
But how do you take that mentality into raising your boys?
Got you. That's a great question.
I appreciate it.
It's a different team. It's a new team, bro. This is a new camp. This is a new game. For them and for me.
Yeah.
However, not all they have, but what they have primarily is me and their mom, right?
Yeah,
My wife. And I'm a coach. Again. But this time, this is my bloodline.
Yeah.
So if I was a coach on the field,
It's a little bit more.
it's a little bit more pressure with this one.
Yeah.
I'm the example, and this is my team, and they're gonna not only watching me. This is the difference, right? On the field, as a player or as a coach, but let's say as a coach, on the field, whenever I was on the field, they saw me with the hat, with the gear, with the list, with the playbook, whatever the case is, and that's all they saw. And afterwards, if they needed help or whatever the case is, they always saw me at my strength, more likely than not, right? They knew to come to me. My boys are seeing me in my strength and in my moments of weaknesses.
Yeah.
And they, for me, they're allowed to see it. They're going to see it.
Yeah.
That's inevitable. But they also are going to see how I come out of it.
Yeah.
Whether I fold to it or I respond to it and get better.
Yeah.
And I'm always modeling for my kids. Whether it's directly or indirectly, they're always watching me, right? And this is my team. And if I want my team to move a certain way, it starts with me. So they're watching how dad moves, how dad reacts, how dad responds to the situation. Because what are they going to do naturally? They're going to model it. They're going to follow. They're going to follow me. Only as the sheep respond to their shepherd, right?
Yeah.
They're going to model me until they come up to their own and they can decide what they want to do and how they want to move. Even when they do that, they still had a model at a very young age to show them what it means to get up and pray in the morning, what it means to have Abba Father as preeminent in your life, what it means to go through daily struggles, right? Go through conflict, be in that conflict and come out of that conflict. And not blaming, but owning and taking accountability. What it is to show respect, even when the world says it looks this way.
Yeah.
What it means to stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Right? We used to say to stand 10 toes down. Standing 10 toes down. Standing up for something.
Yeah.
Because if you don't stand up for something.
Fall for everything.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
All right? So that's my team now. That's my camp.
Yeah.
And that, so I transition these things. And it's even intentional.
Yeah.
You know, you try to give them the playbook.
Yeah.
That time at this time, whatever the case is, like they're gonna challenge you. So we're all
That's fair.
growing. We're all growing together, though.
Yeah.
I have more experience, so I do my best to share that experience with them and be very present with them, allowing them to grow with me.
Yeah.
But that's how I'd say I transitioned that from the field to the home.
Yeah. I haven't heard that, I'm surprised I haven't, but I really haven't heard that analogy of it's the same thing. It's just your team. It's your home team. It's your literal home team.
That's how I see it, bro.
I love that. Well, no, it makes it so simple. It doesn't simplify anything at all.
But you're right?
Yeah, it's my home team the same way, because I think it's really as a high school soccer coach, it's really easy for me to get in the mentality of what I want to be an example of for the guys on that field, for the young gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
But I've never thought about influencing my younger brother or sister that way.
Damn, yeah, that's real. That's real, and this is not something that's
All right.
You're going somewhere.
All right. I'll be back. I got some stuff to do. Hold on. That's good. Do you know Lester Brown?
Les Brown, the one and only.
Yeah.
He's from my city.
For real?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So he did one of the things that I really love. He tells a story about his dad.
Okay.
And he's like, I never. People have all sorts of parents, and some people have really like influential, there all the time type of dads. He's like, my dad was busy, gone all the time. He was like, but my dad left the house at 3:45 every single morning.
Yeah.
And without fail, and was always home. And he's like, what he did for us was provide for us. Like he was a concrete foundation that never shook.
Yes.
And after his dad passed, he's asking his mom like, did you ever understand any of that? And I'm recalling this from memory, so I might have a little bit of the story off. But his mom said, she asked him one time. She asked his dad, was like, honey, like, what's, you ever thought about doing something else? You can be home more often, why not? And like, why do you get up so early and this and that? And he said, this has stuck with me. He's like, if by chance one day my son catches me in the act of excellence, like, he's like, that's what I'm doing. And he's like, and his, it's so simple and beautiful because his dad's version of excellence, his dad's version of being that coach for his home team was, I don't want to get up at 3:45 and I don't want to go to work and then do nothing. I don't want to not see my family. He's like, but I'm committed to that because of the example I'm setting and the life I want to give you guys.
Yes.
And the way he phrased it, I'm like, catches me in the act of excellence.
That's big.
And I think it's so easy for people to think of like the little stuff of just like getting up on time, going to work as just like mundane routine.
Right.
But he's like, no, it's the act of excellence was committing to that. And I'm just like,
Those two words right there, right? The act of excellence. There's one word ringing in my mind right now, and that's intention. The act of excellence requires being intentional. To me, excellence doesn't happen by mistake. You know this. You know this. Come on, man. Look at you.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it.
Excellence is not by mistake. It's not by chance.
Yeah.
You're intentional in going after something and not only doing it, but doing it at your best. Yeah. And even if you're not your best, you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
For the sake of becoming the best version of yourself, or however you want to word it. So
how do you ground yourself when you're not at your best and you don't feel like doing that? Like you personally.
That's good. I've been blessed to serve as a consultant, counselor, coach. And I've learned so much in my experience and am still learning with how I grew up, my education, my faith, my family, and where I've come now. And it's helped me to sharpen my hearing, my seeing, the way that I hear things, listen to things, right? And I love the question that you just asked. What's funny about the question that you just asked is the fact that the answer is within the question. Okay. So how do you ground yourself when you're dealing with X, Y, and Z, right? Yeah. You get grounded. What does that mean?
Bring it back to basics.
Bring it back to basics. Bring it back to basics. You get grounded. When I'm losing myself, if I'm slowing down, if I'm not performing at my best, if I'm overworking, right? I like to say, I'm going to use these terms. They're not popular terms. Yeah. We're afraid of these terms. Not everyone, but anxiety and depression, especially in sports. Yeah. Right? I like to say anxiety is living in the future. Depression is staying stuck in the past. Man. So getting grounded to me is, I think it's all a part of mindfulness, is back up and let's get back to the basics. What did I do that worked? Do it again. What did I do that made it effective? Do it again. If I have to go outside, if I have to run, if I have to read, if I have to go swimming, That's what helps me, right? It's slowing down, bro. It's slowing down, and it's realizing this is God's green earth.
Yeah.
It started with Him, and He is the finisher and perfecter of our faith, and He doesn't start anything that He won't finish. So maybe I should stop counting on me so much and go back to the basics. I think that might help a little bit for me.
Yeah. I love this. I use this reference a lot, but I'm gonna use it again because it's good. It was a Protestant preacher, but he did a little documentary.
Yes.
He's American, living in northern Scotland. That's where his ministry was, called Godspeed. And if you just hear someone say like Godspeed, it's like, oh, you know, speedy trip and journey and hope it's great and all that. He flipped it on his head and he said, no, Godspeed is slowing so far down that you're hardly moving. And it was...
That's scary, bro.
Nobody wants to sit with themselves and talk about it and just stop and realize, like, hey, in order to listen to God and in order to really, like, ground myself,
yes,
I gotta pump the brakes.
Yeah.
I gotta stop.
That's good.
I have to sit, and maybe that's like complete silence. Maybe it's just like putting your phone down, whatever it is. But you gotta stop.
It takes a new meaning to be still and know that I am God. That's I like that. Godspeed, to flip it, to go on Godspeed.
Godspeed is slowing so far down, and for him it came from he was trying to preach to these people, and it's a very outdoorsy community, very active hiking, that sort of thing, and he couldn't connect with anyone. But he finally connected with this one guy who is kind of like not an outcast in the community, but a little bit
kind of black sheepish.
Well, yeah, because he was known for going on like week-long hikes with absolutely nothing and not even an item of clothing. So like he
was the John.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he would just go. So maybe a good place to start. But he just go out bareback and do his hiking, and the preacher connected with him by showing him a map of Jesus' ministry, and the dude was like, "Hold on," he's like, "That's shorter than the hikes I do."
Wow.
And he's like, and this guy. And the documentary's from like 2019, but this guy was like 2,000 years later, the guy he was talking to was like 2,000 years later, only that far, and it's had this impact? And the preacher was like Godspeed.
Yeah.
Down here.
Wow. How that speaks.
Yeah.
Right? That speaks. Because as people in our finite minds, right? We think so much or so big, which I do it all the time, right? Or this is how I'm going to do it, and this is where I'm going to go, and this is who I'm going to meet, and that's how far it's going to take me, hopefully, if it works that way. And
if it all goes my way.
If it all goes my way, if it all goes my way, does it usually go my way?
Nah, but we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that part. But knowing, I like to, now I've learned to not only say but accept that man makes plans, and God looks at them and laughs, right? Yeah. Because we might be moving at 100 miles per hour, 1,000 miles per hour, thinking this is the way, and here comes an obstacle or a barrier, whatever the case is, and it might, and we lose it, whatever the case. So we try to pick it back up, and we get upset and frustrated within ourselves, and God is like, "Oh, you thought you put the plan in you?
You thought that was your idea?
You thought that was your idea? Oh, you're going to come back now?
Yeah.
Now can we talk? Now can I show you?
I set you off. You made 18 wrong turns. Now you're back.
Yeah. Well, welcome back.
Let's go. Now we can go.
Now we can go. Now you slowed down, like you said, right? Now you're listening. Now let's show you how to move.
Man, this is super cool perspective again. But I don't know why I read it, and there's two things. But the first one is somebody was saying, of course, now I'm going to draw a blank on it. now that I'm like, oh, I got this idea. Shucks. Well, anywho.
It'll come back.
Yeah, anyways.
Hopefully not when you're about to go to sleep.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
But the other part was, it was something I read yesterday, and it talked about how this gentleman was a friend of mine, posted it, and it was just kind of like he posted it on the Insta story, but it was kind of like typed up written, so I don't know if it's his or if it's something he read, but it said, I've learned to love all the inconsistencies and unknowns. And he said, every time something happens that I didn't expect, every time I turn the page and it looks different, every time I find myself in a situation that I feel like I'm drowning, he's like, that's constant proof to me that God's plan is so much greater than anything I could comprehend.
Wow. Wow.
That I really have no control.
Wow.
And but also proof that he's still moving.
Yeah. And that he's in control.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, that's a darn good way to look at it.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. That's very good.
Because it can be dangerous. Again, not my original thought, taking this from somebody, but it can be dangerous to look at a situation, whether you're walking through it or somebody else's, and be like, oh, I see, yeah, God's doing this and this. Can be dangerous, because then we can start to make idols out of certain things, and
a little bit, right?
And then we start running this direction because our head says, oh, this is what God's calling, like this is what he's doing. That's a slippery road.
It is. It is.
But you can be fully confident in saying, yeah, I might not know what's going on right now, and I don't know what God's doing, but I know he's doing something.
Right. There's that hope.
Yeah. I know he's doing something. It looks like a shotgun mess, but he's doing something.
Is that not faith, bro? That's faith right there.
That's what it is.
Faith and hope. We walk by faith and not by sight, because if we're going by what we see, good, bad, or ugly, we start thinking that we are the controllers, the entire controllers of ourselves, and we forget that God is sovereign. That's so real. I think it speaks so much to accepting a situation.
Yes.
And I used to mix this up, and I've come to a better understanding of it, and I've accepted it, and it's become a part of my teaching, my coaching, and so on and so forth. Acceptance doesn't mean approval. And there are situations that we might be going through or facing, and we have issues accepting that situation for what it is, because for some reason, if we accept it, we think we're approving it. Two totally different things. If we accept the situation that's going on, we have now taken ownership of it. If we take ownership of it, now we can let it go.
Yeah. You can't let go if you don't have ownership.
You can't let go if you don't have ownership, baby. Accept it. You don't have to approve it.
That's why you get paid the big bucks, man.
I welcome it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one, because a similar notion that I heard was like accepting, because when you accept something, you can actually do something about it.
Yes.
But the finer point of, you can't let something go until you've fully accepted it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I think I'm going to speak a little bit to myself here, like personally, so some life goals for me. I pretty much only have 3 life goals. It's to have a family, to help people, and to be a saint.
Nice.
That last one's going to be interesting.
Good luck.
Thank you. I'm going to need it.
So will I.
But the have a family is really, it comes from, I'm very blessed to have a very good family and come from a good family. And my mom and dad have such a phenomenal relationship. It's great.
That's good.
And they came from interesting, I love all my grandparents and whatnot, but my mom and dad have really made something beautiful. And I'm working this full circle. But I think the family unit, going back to your home team, there's no greater proof of God's love, and there's no greater example than a family unit. But in society today, not even you don't even make it to the family half the time. There's such a struggle with relationship and bringing it then back to what you said about letting stuff go. The way I look at stuff, like, when bad stuff happens, it's people hurting people. It's not like
absolutely.
we're all broken, and
we're all broken, and we're trying to get it right. Some of us see it and honor that brokenness. Some of us act like we're not.
It's not so much, yeah. And
not so much.
And so it's like there's that, and then a young lady said this one time, and she's like, "Hey, two things happen in a breakup. One, you realize wasn't right, and you move on and you grow.
Right.
Or two, you realize maybe that was right, and that was the right one. But now you have this perspective and this growth that there's. I don't like the term baggage in that sense, because you bring a lot more into it. But in the same sense of the apostles walking through all the stuff that they walked through,
yes,
that like the wisdom and the courage to speak about Christ and his love the way they did came from walking with him.
Right.
And so like, yeah, you learn that it wasn't it, or you learn that it was, and you can reintroduce yourself to that situation, or however it works,
right,
with a completely different perspective and mindset. But for the people that are like, but a big part of that, especially regardless of which way it goes, a big part of that is forgiveness, yes, but in the same sense of approving, forgiving doesn't mean you approve. Accepting doesn't mean you approve. But you have to accept
what happened
in order to let it go.
Yes.
And if you never let it go, you can't grow. And it's
oh boy. Yeah.
I'm somewhat having a conversation and somewhat working this out in my head at the same time.
I see it, and it's clear as day, bro. Because you know why? And I'm gonna go back to your triangle, your three, your core three. You did something there. I call it KISS. I feel like KISS.
I didn't kiss nobody. Sorry, I had to. I'm sorry.
But KISS is an acronym. I didn't create it, but I have adopted it. And you can. It's a universal. It's universal. I think you can apply this acronym since we're speaking about family relationships.
Yeah.
And thereof, you can apply this acronym to when things get difficult, when we find challenges, whether between the union or the family basis or whatever the case is. How do we come to resolve or come to a place to where we're able to make amends or a place of peace? How does that process look like? And KISS, that acronym is keep it simple. For me, I like to say keep it simple, stupid.
I love that.
I love that. If I'm feeling good and I'm leaving the gym, then I'll say keep it simple, stud.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
But
just cut straight to
so when you said go straight to the core, bro. Yeah. Like keeping it simple helps with the process, because if I start allowing the thoughts to ruminate in my mind, now it's becoming complicated. Yeah. Now I'm overthinking. Yeah. Now I'm creating stress and anxiety and this and that and whatever. And where am I stuck? Here. What am I not doing? Anything. So I've handicapped myself. So it's what you're saying is so spot on, and is ringing so true. Like with forgiveness and acceptance, we think forgiveness is forgetting, and there's huge debates. Oh, well, the Word of God does say love keeps no records of wrongs. But let's look at that statement. Love keeps no records of wrongs. It's not saying that the wrong didn't happen. Yeah. It's not saying that it didn't exist. Yeah. It's saying I'm choosing not to hold this against you anymore. It's not saying that I'm forgetting that has ever happened.
I read it on Instagram. It's a Catholic gentleman, and it was either a saint or Pope John Paul II. Who is a saint? Saint Pope, but it was either him or somebody else, and it said, "Love that has not known suffering is not worthy of the name."
Oh, yes.
Save that.
Save that. Yeah. I
was like, ooh,
that hit. That hit, and it's so true. Because unless you have the experience, what do you really have? And not to say that you have to go through experience.
Because, right.
Because wisdom is knowledge applied, taking that the experiences of others or myself and adopting it as my own, so that I don't have to. But man, you got to repeat that one more time, bro. That was solid.
Love that has not known suffering is not worthy of the name.
Love that has not known suffering is not worthy of the name.
It might be a word or two in there that I got wrong, but that's the...
Love, I have to say it again.
Yeah.
I think I just got another epiphany.
Yeah, go for it. Please,
Love
please.
that has not known suffering is not worthy of the name. Whose name? God. What is God?
He is love.
Love.
Ooh.
Hey.
We're gonna need another like 4 hours.
We might need some time.
We're just gonna, man, we'll see you after the break.
Well, go ahead, bro.
Man, that's good.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
No, that's solid. That's solid.
That was good.
I hope whoever's watching this,
Getting some of this.
Experience, at least some of this, because it's real. And this is God, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Bro.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take a sip.
By all means, please. It's there for you. I don't know how warm it is now, but it's there for you.
Warm enough.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think what you said of you don't have to experience like the suffering. It's not like, oh, I can't love you until we've gone like through something. Even as like, even as just friends, it's like, oh, I can't love you till we've walked through. No. Because, and again, I don't have this experience. Well, as a dad, I'll actually speak as a sibling.
Okay.
Because.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. You said I don't have this experience, and then you corrected yourself, right?
Yeah.
And this is just we're just having a conversation.
Floor is yours.
You know what? You can relate. That you said I'll speak as a sibling.
Yeah.
We can all relate, bro.
Amen.
We can all relate, bro. There's more that we have together than what we don't have apart, bro. Yeah, you're not married yet, right? Ladies, watch out.
Lord willing, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but thank you for doing that, bro. Because go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you.
No, I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
so real though.
Like my relationship with my siblings. My brother and I. My man. I love my brother more than anything in the world.
I got you. That's your heartbeat.
And I don't know why, but when I was little, like I would think of what happened if like something never happened to him. Like, that's the worst feeling. But anyways, he and I could not be more polar opposites on the fundamental stuff.
Okay.
We have very similar characteristics and tendencies, and like in that sense.
All right.
But our focus, the coal that burns in the center of our fire is something different.
Yeah.
Very different. And so we have a lot of, again, love them to death. We have a great time. We always enjoy each other's company.
Yes.
But we'll have conversations that just, very, very respectful and very genuinely intrigued and going back and forth.
Yes.
But just so in black and white.
Yes.
That we've had moments where, as brothers do, and I'm not speaking for everybody.
Call a spade a spade.
But like, there's been moments when if a car was coming by, in the heat of the moment, I'm like, I'm gonna push you into that car. I would never do that. I just put that out right. I would never do that. But we
in the moment.
But you butt heads real hard. Or I butt heads real hard with him sometimes.
Absolutely.
But after those moments, after those conversations, and honestly, I want to be respectful of the fact that this isn't how it works for everybody, because for a lot of families, you have those moments and that's it.
Right.
Unfortunately.
That's so true.
And by the grace of God, it's like it's never been, and it's really never anything that serious. But we do butt heads, and I know my brother more. I know him more fully. I can speak to him more clearly. I can communicate with him in a way that I know will resonate with him, in a way that he understands.
Yes.
Because of those moments when I want to shove him against the ground.
Wow, yes.
And so again, a suffering love in the sense of what someone might think. I haven't experienced that with my brother, but but there's that familial love, that brotherly love that has experienced tension and friction and suffering and whatnot. That's
I wish you got a mic. I was going to put another mic and press
I got the little ones.
Don't tell me, Dan, and I'm going to put you on the spot right now, bro, that you don't have a suffering love for your brother. That's exactly what you just said. It may not. Well, it might come to the point of blood and sweat and tears and all of that stuff.
There's been blood before.
Okay, I believe it because I got brothers.
Yeah, there's been blood.
You suffered, yet you love. My man just gave me the example that some families can't say that they bump heads and they come back together.
Yeah.
You suffered, yet you love. And he could vouch for the same thing. You just jokingly.
He might have a different perspective.
He might have a different perspective, right?
I got you.
Disclaimer, hypothetical statement, if a car would have come in, I might, right? But what is that? I know it because I lived it, right?
Yeah.
And still have my moments. Is that not suffering? You hurt me.
Yeah.
You angered me. You hurt me. In this moment, I don't like you.
It's almost. I like the fact.
I
like the fact that you didn't let that go, because it's almost like, and I think this is where the type of love that God gives us, that comes only from Him.
Come on.
Where even in those moments, the love was underwritten in all of it. Like the only reason we butt heads, and the only reason we would really get at each other is because it's not like I'm actually like angry or upset. It's the fact that like whether it's through an experience or something that I fully believe and embody, know has been good and beneficial and helpful to me. And I love you so much. Would you just please freaking trust me or see this or in a less charitable manner.
Well said.
It doesn't always come from such a virtuous point. Sometimes it's like but even then it's not. It's love underwritten, because if I'm
that's a shirt. That's a shirt.
That's fresh off the mind, so I'm glad it's recording.
Go ahead.
But I specifically remember one example where my uncle had like a go-kart, a little, a homemade go-kart.
Okay.
And my brother was, in many ways, we're both very adventurous and out there and going and whatnot.
Yes.
I'm a little more dumb about it. Like I'll push myself to I just got over a broken collarbone and my wrist is still jacked up from a couple days ago.
You're the adrenaline junkie?
More, I don't know if it's because I'm not necessarily seeking, but I'm just going to go ahead. If something's I'm just do it.
All right.
Without thinking about the consequences.
I like it.
So
okay.
Which is, that's another topic. But
yeah, been there.
But it was one time on this go-kart where I was flooring it.
Yeah.
Like, let it all out. And it was only like, I say only, but a tiny little go-kart with like 450cc was pretty sweet.
That's not bad.
Yeah, no. And I was ripping it. And I got him to get in, and but I was like halfway down, and he was like not about it, like having fun, but just like nah. And I was like, and I just kept pushing, until that on his side turned to rage, like
of course
stop.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And
you didn't?
I did not. No, because
you're in it.
It was less about wanting him to be uncomfortable and more about like the feeling that I had of like how fun this was. I wanted to share that with him, and I think in my this was like I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
In my like 9-year-old mind, I was like, no, he'll feel it eventually. We'll get there and he'll feel it. It ended up in a little like roll. No one got hurt, but ended up rolling it over and then really fighting and wrestling each other. And and I'm not proud of it. Like even now, I still remember like holding his head against the ground.
Oh,
but
brothers, man.
Yeah. But even then, even though it didn't look like it, I think it was still, in a weird way, I think it's still love underwritten, because it wasn't about trying to make him uncomfortable or whatnot. I was like, man, I'm having such a good time and experience that I want
you to feel that.
Yeah, and I didn't know. This is many years ago, and so I know how to communicate better with him. But I didn't know how to communicate that to him or how he would receive it at the time. And so I just kept pushing the way that I thought.
Yeah.
I got my own private therapy session. This is great.
That's deep, bro. That's yeah. Love underwritten. Said here first.
On the Common Good Show.
Bro, yeah. That's real. That's so true. And to see that and know that I have the gift of love. 8 years old, 9 years old.
Man.
It's in our core, it's in our very being, in our makeup.
Man.
And you said it, not being able to communicate it then, right? And to hear it coming out now.
That's 15 years ago, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. Like,
is that not love? Is that not, bro? Yeah, that's what it is. And learning to communicate that and giving ourselves the grace, right? To be.
I feel like, keep going. But I'm getting that emotion is like, because that, I don't know why, but that word hit. Giving ourselves the grace, but yeah.
Giving ourselves the grace to be patient with ourselves, allowing myself to mess up, to make a mistake, especially when it happens to ones that I love so dearly, because they're the ones that get the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Right? Not the outsiders. They might get some residue, but they're the ones that get the brunt of it. And allowing ourselves the grace to forgive ourselves, right? Forgive before we even. And this might sound a little. I do have a very unorthodox approach. I am very pragmatic. I'm very real.
Go for it.
But sometimes we're asking for forgiveness from others when we haven't even given it to ourselves.
Sign the check, write the line, finish, we're done. That's it.
Yeah, right. So. It's so real. It's so real. Allowing ourselves the grace to forgive ourselves, or to say it was a mistake.
And then move forward, acting like we've actually believed and accepted that.
Come on. Yes, sir.
Because it's one thing to be like, all right, I forgive myself, I messed up, it was silly. But it's another to embody it. And when I wake up the next morning, not to live in a way that, because every action has consequences.
Yes.
Good and bad.
Yes.
But very rarely will those consequences exclude other people. People are always involved.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest challenges can be waking up then, knowing you're, first of all, forgiven by God, but then the ability to forgive yourself and live as if it's true.
Oh, yes, sir.
Because then you walk back out into the world, and then you stand face to face with maybe not the person, but you stand face to face with the reality of this is the consequence of that action. And in that moment, do you choose to continue to live like you've been forgiven, or do you just like take a step back and be like, hold on, I need to reset and just maybe like go this way and do something? And
do you choose to live like you've been forgiven? Do you choose? There goes that intention again, to continue on like you've been forgiven. I think there's a word.
Which comes back to grounding and being intentional.
You see it. New mercies every day. Oh!
It's almost like he knows what's going on.
It's almost like he sees it.
Yeah, that's weird. It's funny.
It's almost like he's the example that we should follow. It's crazy, Coach, Father.
Funny how that works.
Oh my God, that's it. That's it. Choosing to live in that newness, in the new mercies, choosing to move forward.
Is there a specific example in your own life where you walked through something that was like walking on glass and walking through fire. But looking back at it now, you can say, man, I'm glad it happened exactly the way it did.
Is there a specific example? I have more than enough.
Would you share with us one?
Yes. Okay, absolutely. Which one should I choose? Well, I'm a married man. And I'll say it again for those that know, I'm a married man. And we know, well, speaking for myself, in the blessing of that union and that relationship, of the two becoming one.
I love this language.
You come to realize that the unity, the oneness, comes not without purging, comes not without pain, comes not without suffering. For it is within that oneness when I try to hold on to a sense of individuality, right? And I maybe get consumed with pride or ego or arrogance.
If it happens,
maybe, right? Maybe that happens, and I'm having a heated fellowship with my counterpart, my better being.
Well said.
Thank you. There has been moments, many moments, where I push the boundary with her, or I may have said things that weren't too kind to her, or trying to explain, or trying to make something better, or seeing a certain end goal, right? And pressing it and pressing it and pressing it, similar to the situation you just shared. And for her, in her perspective, in her understanding, not seeing it as I see it, as I saw it at the time, and me acting out in a certain way, and she getting just mad and just angry, just becoming very angry with me. And instead of me slowing down, using that to just kind of light me up and kind of add insult to injury. And then, when the emotions subside, I have to live with the guilt of what I just said or done, or how I reacted to the situation, and be humble enough to approach her and have that conversation and not act like it never happened.
Yeah.
Right? Not leave that pink elephant in the room where the tension is like this thick. You could cut it with a knife and address it
Head on, and allow her, if she doesn't want to deal with it, allow her to have that respect and allow her to be able to want to deal with it when she's ready. And to not let ego get in the way again, and to back up and say, okay, whenever you're ready. Well, I think the point you made about not letting ego get in the way, but being humble enough to, there's nothing harder than approaching and going back to someone who you really care about, who you really hurt, and actually talking to them.
Yes.
But I say that to carry in this point of what I've found, at least personally, is the most difficult challenges or mistakes to reconcile with myself, especially when it's involved somebody else and hurting someone else, is when I betrayed myself.
Oh my God.
In doing so.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to hurt somebody and make a mistake because you didn't know or you were unaware, but like you said, using it to fuel you in that moment. And
yes.
When you allow, we got to be bigger than our emotions, right? But when you allow the emotions or the moment to then override your character, and I feel it's very personally, but you betray yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
And that is almost then, I mean, I feel like that's because then you're not just approaching the person like, I made this mistake and I didn't know, I'm sorry. You're like, hey, I made this decision, I chose to be completely contrary to who I know I'm called to be.
Yes.
And you suffered for it. And this is where we're at.
Yeah.
But I think that's for everyone, because I know it's a very interesting point. People know when it doesn't matter if you're religious at all,
right,
or not.
Right.
You know when you've done something that doesn't sit right with you.
Absolutely.
People aren't stupid.
Right.
Unless they keep it simple, stupid. But people, but people are not so thick that they don't feel their own emotions.
Come on.
We can shut them out, but we still know
it's
there. Yeah. And so you know, like, and again, and I want to make this point of view, it doesn't necessarily have to be religious, because no, exactly. In my, like, I have that faith foundation and I'm very blessed to have it.
Yes.
But even for someone who doesn't, it's the realization of, I went against myself.
Yeah, that's that detrimental part. That's you went against yourself.
And when you're married, your counterpart is yourself.
Hello.
Ooh.
What? Yes.
I'll get there one day.
Yes. Yeah. So I went. Yeah. I went against myself. I sinned against myself. If you want to use that language, right?
Yeah.
I sinned against myself. One finger to you, because that's you. 3 fingers right back at me. How do we reconcile that? How do we deal with that? You see where we're going? Whoa, come on, bro.
Come on. You laid that one up for me.
Ooh, and you ooped it.
I tried. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
the terrible thing here is that we're wrapping up on our time.
Oh.
But I want to ask you one final thing.
All right.
Because I just want to ask you this one thing. If you had one piece of information, whether it's a comment, advice, a quote, thought, whatever, something your kid said, one piece of information to leave and with everyone, and this was the last thing you'd be able to give to people, what would you share?
Okay, so this, I'll share it, but it's not my words. It's the word of our Father. And we call it the golden rule, right? There's different versions, different translations, or whatever the case is. But if I could just share that, it would be, in its most simplistic forms, love others, right? As you would do what?
Do to yourself.
Do to yourself, right? Love others as you would do to yourself.
Yeah, do unto others as you would
do unto others as you would do to yourself. Where does it start? It starts with ourself.
I love that.
I cannot give you what I do not have.
The two commandments, like when the Pharisees or Sadducees asked Jesus, he's like, love the Lord your God
With
above
all
all
your
else,
might, soul, heart,
and
strength.
then love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes.
But you drove the nail home where the first one's loving God, and then love your neighbor as yourself. You cannot love your neighbor if you do not love yourself. And you can't love yourself if first you don't love God.
You got it. And God is what? Love.
He is love.
So the two come down to one, bro. It's really one. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. You did it. That's what it is. I can't love my neighbor if I'm not loving myself. And if I'm loving myself, I'm loving, not to misconstrue it, but I'm showing that love to God, because God is love. It's love. At the end of the day, it's love, and He shows His love to us literally by the passion and the suffering of giving Himself up for us.
Speaking of,
So in his crucifixion, could we say that he loved himself?
well, he is love.
He is love.
Yeah. That was the fullest expression.
That was the fullest expression of love.
We have to wrap it up, but this,
yes, we do.
No, but this is because I heard this.
Yes, yes.
So we hear that thing of God's with us in our suffering, and it's like he took all of the pain when he died on the cross.
Yes.
And I know, at least for myself, it can be challenging sometimes. I'm like, okay, like he's with us, but like he took it back then. But this like clicked the other day.
Okay.
Reminding myself that like time is my head, not God. God is outside of time. In the moment that he was on the cross.
Yes.
Through the entire passion.
Yes.
But in that moment, in that experience, it might have been a moment in human time,
mm-hmm.
but God is outside of time.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, this pain, or I'm not experiencing any pain right now. This is a wonderful setting. It's a great conversation. But when I'm in the middle of some pain,
yes.
God didn't take it on his shoulders because he's like, oh, I knew it was going to happen. He took it on his shoulders because God exists as God in
yes.
everything with me right now
yes.
as love in that suffering.
Yes.
And so it's not like he took it and felt it back then. It's like God is just as much there as he is here right now. It's all.
He's in it. Oh, he's present. He's present, bro. Hey, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Absolute
My
pleasure.
man. Thank you so much for chatting with us. And a massive thank you guys for listening. Thank you to Guadalupe Roastery and Maria Vision for making this happen. And we'll see you next time.